Hey, what's going on guys, Cardtrix here. In today's video, I bring you guys the tutorial for the most shuffled deck in the world card trick that I did in my previous video. Now, I ask you that if you have not seen that video yet, you check that out before watching this tutorial. The link to the performance will be right up here and in the description box below. Anyways, there is a lot to get into here, so let's just get right into it. Okay guys, so this trick is actually extremely easy to do. There's just a lot of steps to memorize, so let's just dive right into this. So all you're going to need to pull off this effect is a deck of cards. So go ahead and grab yourself a deck of cards. And once you have your deck, you're going to want to remove all 13 cards of any suit that you want. It does not matter what suit you use. However, I personally recommend that you use hearts like I did. And I will explain why later on in the tutorial. But just go ahead and remove 13 cards of your preferred suit. Once you have those cards, you're going to want to make sure they are mixed up. You don't want them in like ace to king order or anything like that. And the reason being is at the end of the effect, when you show that only that particular suit is face up, they're going to end up in ace to king order. And if the spectator sees that, it kind of appears that it was predestined from the beginning for that to happen. And you don't want that. You want everything to appear as random as possible. So just make sure that they are in no particular order. But anyways, once you have your stack of suits, just go ahead, set that stack right on top, and you are ready to go. Okay, so to start off this trick, all you're going to want to do is explain to your spectator that in most card tricks, we usually have to give the cards a thorough shuffle to make sure everything is mixed up. But we're not going to do that in this case because the theme of this card trick is all about shuffling cards. Now, this statement is only giving you an excuse to not have to shuffle the cards. And you don't want to shuffle these because you have that stack of 13 cards on top, and maintaining a 13 card stack is extremely hard to do, and quite frankly, it's not convenient. So just to give yourself a way out, say that, and no spectator is going to think anything of it. Now, as you're explaining this, you're going to be forming 3 random piles. Well, 2 piles will be random, but 1 pile is just going to be that stack of 13 hearts. Now, you're going to do this in one of 2 ways. So as you're explaining that beginning part to the spectator, you're going to be spreading through the cards. And all you're going to do is keep going till you see your first heart. Once you see the first heart, you're going to do one of 2 things. You're either going to lift up on the deck, square it up, and catch a pinky break. With this hand, I'm not exactly that comfortable doing that, so what I actually did in the performance is I took the pinky from the opposite hand, stuck it in here, and turned it over as I squared everything up and maintained a break this way. But just get a break between the deck and your stack of 13 cards any way you wish. Now, once you have the break, you're going to divide it again into 3 random piles. For the first pile, all you're really going to do is just set down that stack of 13 hearts. So all you really have to do is just riffle down the deck to a random spot, but it doesn't matter where you riffle down because you're just going to close the gap, lift up from the 13 card stack, and just set that pile down. So this is your stack of 13 hearts. And now all these cards really are truly random, so you can just break this in any fashion you like. And now you have yourself 3 random piles. Now, one thing you guys may be thinking is when you're spreading through the cards, won't the spectators notice that an entire suit is missing? And the answer to that question is no. Again, this is my go-to effect. I've performed this I don't know how many times, and not once has someone went, "Oh, I don't see any hearts in the deck, what's up with that?" You'd be surprised. Spectators don't really notice little details like that, so you will be good to go, I promise you that. But anyways, again, the situation is you have 2 piles that are completely random, and then you have 1 pile that is your stack of 13 hearts. So here is the main theme of this trick. You really are going to give the spectators free will on what cards or what piles rather, they want to flip over when they are shuffled. The key is you always want to make sure that the hearts are facing down, and I will get more into that right now. So you're going to have your spectator go ahead and name or point to any 2 piles on the table. And whatever 2 piles they point to is going to determine what you do in this next phase of the trick. So there are 2 possible scenarios. Scenario 1 is when they point to 2 piles, one of the piles they point to will include your stack of 13 hearts. And then scenario 2 is when they point to both piles, neither one of those piles will be your stack of 13 hearts. And I'm going to walk through what you're going to do exactly for each situation. So let's first look at scenario 1, where they point to 2 piles, and one of the piles contains your stack of 13 hearts. So, if they point to these 2 piles or these 2 piles as so, here's what you're going to do. So for this example, let's just say they point to these two piles right here. Now, since you know they pointed to your stack of 13 hearts, you're going to set the other pile off to the side. Now what you're going to do is explain to your spectator that normally in a card trick, we shuffle cards face down into face down. But for this trick, we're going to shuffle them face up into face down. So now you're going to give your spectator an absolutely free choice on what pile they want to flip over. So now for this example, let's just say they want to flip over this pile, okay? So now the random cards are face up and the hearts are face down in this case, which is actually really good. So at this point, you take the piles, shuffle them together, and yes, another thing I should mention is you do want to know how to do a classic table shuffle like that. You don't want to do a classic riffle shuffle then bridge, which I will explain in just a moment. Now from here, again, you want to make sure your hearts are face down, which they are in this case. So from here, you can just spread out the cards and show that all the cards really are mixed up face up into face down. But again, you don't want to show this side because this is the side that contains all of your hearts. Okay, so now let's go ahead and backtrack just a moment here. What if the spectator wants to flip over the pile with the hearts? Well, you're going to do just that. You'll flip over the pile. And now this is why you want to know how to do that table shuffle. Because if you can keep a nice tight table shuffle, even though all the hearts are faced up, they won't even notice that it's only hearts going by. So you'll be just fine. So do your shuffle and square everything up. But again, you want to make sure that you can show all of the cards mixed up. So all you have to do at this point is take the pile, flip it over, then go ahead and show that all the cards are mixed up. So now you're not showing the side with the hearts. And in either scenario, whether they flip over the pile with the hearts or the random pile, when you shuffle the piles together, make sure that the side with the hearts are facing down no matter what. Otherwise, the trick will not work. So now once you have that pile, you're going to set that down. Again, making sure the side with the hearts are facing down. Now you're going to bring over the other pile, and once again, you're going to give the spectator a free choice on which pile they want to flip over, and then you're going to shuffle them together. Now notice, it actually doesn't matter which pile they flip over. If they want to flip over this pile, all the cards are going to be face up, and all the hearts are still going to be face down. If they want to flip over this pile, all the cards will be face down, but all the hearts will be face up, so no matter what, the hearts will be facing the opposite direction from all of the other cards, and that is exactly what you want. So again, no matter which one they do, let's say they want to flip over this pile. Just go ahead, take the cards, make sure they're square, and do your nice tight corner shuffle, and make sure everything is good and mixed up. And once you shuffle the cards, if the cards are face down, or rather, if the heart section is face down, pick up the pile, spread it out, show the cards are good and mixed up. If the hearts are face up, again, just take the packet, flip it over naturally, and then show that all the cards really are mixed up. Again, you don't want to show the side with the hearts, otherwise that'll ruin the effect. Okay, so now let's backtrack even more. What happens when the spectator points to two piles, and the two piles they point to are not the pile containing your stack of 13 hearts? Well, it's almost the same thing, just a little bit different. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to, once again, explain to your spectator that most of the time we shuffle cards face down into face down. But this time, when you say this, you're actually going to take the two piles that they picked, because these are the two random piles, and just shuffle them together, face down into face down. So it just kind of looks like you're using those piles to explain how the trick is going to work. Again, the spectator doesn't know what's happening as the trick goes on, so they just kind of play by your rules. And now, at this point, you'll say, okay, now, for this trick, we're actually going to shuffle the cards face up into face down. And from here, I'm sure you get how this works already. They can choose which pile they want to flip over, and then if they flip over this pile, you're good, because all the random cards are face up, all the hearts are face down. If they flip over this pile, all the hearts are face up, all the random cards are face down. So no matter what, the hearts are going to be facing the opposite direction from the rest of the cards. So for this example, let's just say that they want to flip over this pile, and again, all you have to do is go ahead and shuffle the piles together as so. And again, the big key here is make sure the hearts are face down. So you're going to want to spread through the deck to show that they're all mixed up. If the hearts are face down in this example, just go ahead and spread through the cards to show that they really are mixed up. But if the heart section is face up, just turn the deck over and then spread through to show that they are mixed up. So I know that was a lot to take in there. There are multiple different steps. So if you're confused, just rewind it and watch it a few times. You'll get it. Okay, so now we're going to move into this next phase of this trick. And just one last reminder, make sure the side with the hearts are facing down. That's very, very important. But anyways, for this next part of the trick, what you're going to do is divide the deck into roughly half. It doesn't need to be exact, but you're going to give one pile to the spectator, and you're going to keep one pile for yourself. Now, you are going to do one little secret move here. All you're going to do is just riffle down the corner of the deck, and when you get to roughly half, just split the deck in half, give the top half to the spectator, and you keep the second half for yourself. The only real secret move you have to do is when you take the pack in your hand right here for yourself, you're not just going to set it down. You're going to flip the packet over. Now, you really don't want spectators to notice this, so you're going to use their pile as misdirection. You split it in half, and as you're handing this to them, you're just flipping over the pile in your hand and setting it in front of you, because all of their attention is going to be on that pile since you're pushing it towards them, so they will not notice this, and you have all the cover that you need. And even if you do have a super attentive spectator who notices that you flipped over the pile, the movement still seems natural, so they probably won't question you, so either way, you should be good to go. Okay, so now the spectator has a pile and you have a pile, and you're going to explain to your spectator that we're going to be playing a follow the leader type of game. Whatever you do to your pile, the spectator has to do to their pile, and these are the instructions you're going to give them. Tell them to cut off roughly half of their pile. So you cut off half of your pile, the spectator does the same. Obviously, I have no one here, so I have to play the part of the spectator. You're going to take that half in your hand and just flip it over. Have the spectator do the same thing. You're going to take the half that's in your hand, you're going to put it on top of the spectator's pile. The spectator has the half in their hand, they're going to put it on top of your pile. Now, this appears to really be making things even more random and more jumbled, but in reality, it's actually not doing anything. Now, for this next part, you're left with two piles, so once again, you're going to give the spectator a completely free choice on what pile they want to flip over, and then you're going to shuffle the cards together. And mathematically, it doesn't matter, because the hearts will always be facing the opposite direction than the rest of the cards. Again, no matter which pile they pick, it will work out that way. So for this example, let's just say they want to flip over this pile right here. So you flip it over, and then once again, you just go ahead and you shuffle your two piles together. In that case, I actually didn't really have a tight riffle there, so you were kind of able to see all the hearts. So again, just make sure you're careful and you keep your riffle nice and tight. But you do want to keep track of what the heart, or what direction the hearts are facing. So once again, if they're facing up, like in this case, flip it over, then spread through to show the cards really are still mixed up. If they're face down like this, then again, you don't need to do anything, just spread through and show. Now, in this part of the trick, once you figure out which side your hearts are facing, obviously make sure they're facing down, and spread through. Now, what you want to do is you want to find a section where you know there are two face-up cards next to each other. So as you're spreading through, just eyeball a section where there's a bunch of face-up cards next to each other, and just keep your finger there so you can mark that spot and you don't lose it. And then you just keep spreading through to show all of the cards. And then all you're going to do is, as you kind of square up, you're just going to give the cards a cut right at that point. Now, the only reason this is necessary is because you're going to flip the cards over one more time and then set them down. And when you cut at a spot where there are two face-up cards before flipping it over, that will ensure that when you flip the cards over, there will be a face-down random card instead of a face-up heart. You don't want a face-up heart to be right at the top. Otherwise, that'll kind of ruin what's about to happen in the end. So now is pretty much the first time you want the hearts to be facing up, because obviously after they choose a suit, you're going to spread them out and reveal all of the hearts as so. But anyways, let's get into this choice. Okay, so one last reminder. At this point in the effect, all of your hearts should be face up, and the rest of the cards should be facing down. At this point in the trick, if your deck does not look like this, then that means you didn't follow some of the steps correctly, and you just want to go back and see where you made your mistake and make sure you correct it. But once you are in this position, your final job and your final goal to reach here is you need to psychologically force the suit hearts on your spectator. Okay, now this is why I highly recommend you use hearts when performing this effect. Hearts is by far the most popular choice among spectators when having to think of a suit. It's really just a psychological thing. Most spectators tend to favor red cards over black cards, and they tend to favor hearts over diamonds, just because maybe it's more of an attractive shape. I don't really know. It just, hearts draws to people more than other suits most of the time. And obviously the best scenario is when you tell them, hey, think of any suit in the deck, and they name your suit right away. That's obviously the best scenario. So it's in your best interest to use hearts. But again, you don't have to. You really can use any suit that you'd wish. And one other big tip I can give you here is I would definitely say use hearts if you're performing this trick to a female, because females definitely pick hearts almost 85 to 90% of the time. Like, almost every time I do this trick to a female, hearts, first suit they're going to name. So again, just trust me, use hearts. But if you don't want to, you really don't have to. But anyways, let's actually learn how you can force hearts on your spectator. Okay, so here's exactly how you're going to force hearts on your spectator. Again, the best possible scenario is when you say think of a suit, they name hearts right away. So ask them to think of a suit. If they say hearts, the trick is over. You're done. All you have to do is maybe just wave your hand over the deck, snap your fingers, do whatever magical gesture you want, and then from there, just show that the hearts are the only face-up suit, and your spectators will be absolutely mind-blown. Now, as high as the chances are of hearts being the first suit named, obviously it's not going to happen every single time, so let me show you what happens if they don't name hearts. So let's just say you have them name a suit, and they say spades, for example. Here's what you're going to say. You need to be very careful with your wording here, because this is how you're going to psychologically force them. You're going to say, spades? Okay, I'll give you the spades, leaving us with clubs, hearts, and diamonds. Okay? Now, the next wording, again, very, very important. You want to say word for word what I'm about to say. Okay, so we have 3 suits left, clubs, hearts, and diamonds. Which one of those suits do you absorb the most? Those exact words. Because now here's what's going to happen. If they name hearts, the trick is over once again. You're going to be like, really? You absorb hearts the most out of those 3? Well, that's really interesting. Because now, once again, do whatever magical gesture you want. Spread out the cards, show the hearts are the only face up, and they will be blown away. Now, if they still don't name hearts in this case, let's say they name diamonds. So you're going to say, diamonds. Well, okay, so you are going to absorb the diamonds. See what I'm saying? So now you're giving an excuse to eliminate the diamonds. Okay, so now we're left with 2 suits, clubs and hearts. And again, wording has to be very specific. You want to say word for word what I'm about to say. Okay, so now we are left with clubs and hearts. Which one of those suits is your favorite? Now, again, if they name hearts, you're done. You could say, oh, hearts is your favorite? Well, that's interesting because, again, magical wave, do whatever, spread the cards out, hearts are your only face up, they'll be blown away. But if they still do not name hearts, they say, oh, clubs is my favorite. You're going to say, okay, since they are your favorite, you can keep the clubs, leaving us with only 1 suit left, being hearts. And now you want to say something along the lines of this. So you eliminated all the suits except for hearts, which is really interesting. Because do whatever magical gesture you want. Again, say whatever you want to say. And then from there, just reveal that the hearts are face up. So I think you guys get the gist here. But let's just go over that one more time so you really understand how to force the card. Okay, so you're going to have your spectator, again, go ahead and name any suit in the deck. They name hearts. Best possible scenario, you're done. Spread out the cards and show that the hearts are the only suit. If they don't name hearts, say they name diamonds, you're going to say, okay, I'll let you have the diamonds, leaving us with 3 suits left, hearts, clubs, and spades. Which one of those suits do you absorb the most? If they say hearts, you say, really? And then, of course, just go ahead and reveal your hearts. If they still don't say hearts, let's say they say clubs. You're going to say, okay, so now you are going to literally absorb those clubs, leaving us with 2 suits, hearts and spades. Which one of those suits is your favorite? Say they name hearts. Hearts, that's your favorite? Well, that's interesting. Say what you want to say. Reveal your hearts. Done. And if they still don't name hearts, they say, what's your favorite? Spades. Okay, spades is your favorite, so I'll let you keep the spades since they are your favorite. So you eliminated all the suits except for hearts, and that's interesting, blah blah blah. And once again, just spread out the cards and reveal that the hearts are the only face-up suit in the deck. Anyways, guys, that is the trick. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Yes, I know this video was kind of long, but there was a lot of details in here, so I really had to go over everything. So hopefully you guys understood. I know it might be a little bit confusing, but if you do have any questions, feel free to comment them in the comment section below, and I will answer everything to the best of my ability. Anyways, once again, I hope you enjoyed, and I really hope that you guys have an amazing time performing this one. Trust me, you will blow minds with this effect. But that's pretty much it, and I will see you guys for my next video. Cardtrix 8, signing off. Peace out.